time. It's a Jewish school. I went to another school after that. But my family was a traditional Gorsky family. My father passed away. I was 13 years old, and I started going to shul every day to say Kaddish for him. And at that time, I became friendly with a rabbi in the community, Rabbi Pinchas Goldschmidt, and he offered me to come here to yeshiva in Monsey, New York. And I came here for yeshiva. I went back to Moscow. I learned in Israel a little bit. Came back to America. Came back to America. Got married to a beautiful girl, my lovely wife, who I love very much. And if anybody tells you marriage is bad, don't listen to them. Marriage is the most beautiful thing in the world. It's whatever you make out of it. You know, marriage is a beautiful thing in the world. You work on marriage, you'll have a good marriage, you'll have a good friend next to you. I went to Yeshiva University together with Rabbi Ephraim. We were in the same time there. There's Mila from Rabbi Chaim, and currently I'm in dental school. But all those things don't define me as a human being. Okay? Those things don't define me as a human being. What defines me as a human being? And that's what I want to talk to you guys. I'm going to be here for 3 classes today and 2 more weeks after that. And I want to talk about the revolution, you know, the revolution that you guys are doing here. You're coming here, you know, you could have had other places to be, you know. I don't believe just a free trip is all you're here for, you know. I mean, I would be just for the free trip also. But it's not just that. I'm sure there's some background that you're here for, you know, to get a meaning in life. And that's what I want to talk to you about, guys. So the official topic is Derech Eretz Kadma LeTorah. It's a saying from the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot called Sheni Atzot, the teaching of our fathers. It says Derech Eretz, the way of the land, the common knowledge. Let's just say this: common knowledge comes before the Torah. And my personal interpretation of it is spiritual, physical, and mental health is a prerequisite to living a Torah life. So, and that's where I would like to speak for 3 times that we'll meet together. I want to live like a 10-15 minutes question and answers, and then if anybody follows and anybody has questions, that'll be fun. So, to answer, you know, to talk about it, I want to bring out several topics and discuss several things with you guys. And if anybody has a question in the middle, you're welcome to raise your hand and ask me a question. I would love to discuss what God is, you know, what Jewish God is in particular. I would like to discuss what Torah is. I would like to discuss how we relate to God and how we relate to Torah and what his relationship is in general. Anybody here heard of Jordan Peterson? Right? I'm a big fan of Jordan Peterson. Right? His book, 12 Steps for Life, Antidote Accounts, right? He's a great thinker, And I heard him saying once that if you don't believe that there are spiritual experiences in the world, then you're just lying to yourself. Everything is a spiritual experience. You're watching a movie, it's a spiritual experience. Right? You get filled with spirit. Sometimes you're watching a movie, you get out, and there's certain influence that it does on you that motivates you to do things in life. Right? We are all spiritual beings. Things that motivate us, that are spiritual energizers, that energize us. Right? You're watching a movie, it motivates us to be a certain way, to do a certain way. Right? You read a book, it motivates us to be a certain way, to do a certain way. Right? Those are all spiritual energizers, and they're spiritual experiences throughout the variety of actions, variety of topics, variety of it's in movies. It can be spiritual experiences, can be in the culture that you live in, right? Kavkazi culture can bring a certain spiritual experience. Spiritual experiences can be in learning Torah, also can be coming from spiritual experiences, and spiritual experience on its own is neither good or bad, right? You guys heard of Viktor Frankl? he has a right, what's it called? A man's search for meaning. So he says in it, if a man has a how, if a man has a why, he can overcome any how, right? If a man has a why, he can overcome any how, right? A Muslim, ISIS, right, terrorist, he has a why also, and he will come any how to fulfill his why, and he lives a spiritual life, right? But his why is distorted, right? It causes him, it gives him power to overcome any how, but his why is distorted, right? So in my personal life, I was looking for that why, and I'm still looking for that why, but I'm closer and closer to that why than I ever was in my life, and there were things in my life, you know, that strained me. There were rabbis in my life who I didn't like, who weren't nice. You know, there were not religious people, and there were religious people, and I'm sure in your life you had your own personal experiences, you know, whether it's with your parent, or with your girlfriend, or with your boyfriend, or with someone, you know, guy you like but he never looked at you, you know, I don't know, who can it be, you know, but there's certain, we have a certain pattern of relationships that can distort our inner self, and can sometimes take us away from the truth, you know, from our truth. And that's a question we have to ask us every day. What's my truth? What's my meaning? How am I going to go and how am I going to live with my meaning? And that's why, guys, you're doing the revolution. Because you're coming here and you guys looking for your meaning. You guys looking how I'm going to live my life. What I'm going to do. How I'm going to build my family. What kind of family I'm going to do. Right? God is not going to go and ask you in the next world, did you keep Shabbat? God is not going to ask you, did you keep Kashrut? You know what God is going to ask you? God is going to tell you, I made you a Jewish person. You live in America. There's Jewish books in English. Did you read what a Shabbat is? Did you read what a Kashrut is? He's going to ask you whether you did your best to learn about what He gave you. Right? I know for myself, for example, it's very easy for me just to, you know, go and work with American Jews or work with, you know, someone else. Don't get involved in the Kavkaz community, you know. But I know I'm gonna go, you know, and God is gonna ask me, Ravashi, I made you a Kavkazi Jew. Like, why are you not accepting it as what it is, and why are you not working with the Kavkazi Jews? Right? God made us a certain way. He's not gonna ask me whether I was. You know, whether I kept Shabbat to the fullest, or whether I kept Kashrut to the fullest. He's going to ask me, did you do your best to find out about it? Right? And that's what it is. God is going to ask us, did I do my best to find my meaning? Did I do my best to find my truth? Right? And that's a question I started asking myself a very long time ago. What's my truth in this world? Right? How can I find my truth in this world? And slowly, I was, you know, getting more and more clear picture. And I don't have a very clear picture right now, you know, but I have some clarity, and that's what I want to share with you guys, whatever I have. I mean, you just say you cannot share what you don't have, right? So I'm going to try to share what I have. In general, how many of you guys know Hebrew alphabet? Right? So, do we have a board? Like a plastic board? Well, next time. But if we take two words, the word emet and the word sheker. Emet means truth, right? Sheker in Hebrew means false, a lie, right? So, the letter is emet, the truth. The aleph is what number letter in the alphabet? Who knows? It's the first, right? It's the first letter in the alphabet. The top, the last letter of the emet, of the word emet, is the last letter of the alphabet, right? The mem, it's the middle letter of the alphabet. So the word emet, the truth, is combination of the first letter, of the last letter, and of the middle letter, right? The word sheker, shin kuf resh. They're all at the end, and they're all next to each other. They all come one after another, shin kuf resh. Right? What does it tell us? Nothing's coincidence. It tells us that the truth is never in one place. The truth is always scattered. You pick up a little bit from here, you pick up a little bit from there. You know, you combine it yourself, you filter in your mind, and it becomes more and more clear to you. The sheker, the false, is always in one place. You know, fanatically, the people that like go, this is the truth. You know, there's arrogant people. Sometimes it means like, it's like, this is how you do it. There's no other way to do it. This is the sheker. This is the false. This is a falsehood. But there's no black. There's no white. There's a lot of gray. Okay, in the real world, there's a lot of gray. And that's what we're going to try to do, guys. And that's what we're doing here, and that's what you guys are doing here. You guys are sitting here because you're on your mission. You're on your mission to find the truth. And that's how I believe you guys are here. You know, you guys are here. And this is a revolution. You guys are a new generation that's going to look for the truth. You don't have to keep Shabbat. I'm not asking you to keep Shabbat and keep the truth, or, you know, but just to ask yourselves questions, the basic questions. What am I here for? Pick up a book. You know, read something about it. Just read about your heritage. Learn something new. You know, and then the things will come out naturally. Okay? All right. So, Torah. What is Torah? It's a question we're going to ask ourselves today. Torah was given to, we have two kinds of Torahs. We have an oral Torah, correct? And we have a written Torah. Everybody knows that? We have a written Torah and we have oral Torah. So we're going to ask ourselves, what is the difference between written Torah and oral Torah? Is God retarded? Like, why is he giving us the Torahs? Like, еще у него было легче просто все написать в одном месте, надо там сказать, тут сказать, like, you know? And the fact is that God gave us Torah on Mount Sinai through Moses, right? And I was Googling how many people believe in the world that the God gave Torah, 5 books of Moses, to Moses on Mount Sinai. How many people do you think believe in this fact? Anybody has a number? Yeah.
How many people were there?
No, how many people believe that Torah was given to Moshe on Mount Sinai?
Now or then?
Now, in this world.
Probably all the religious Muslims
And
Jews
Christians.
And
Yeah, what's the number? What do you guys think is the number?
50%.
5 what? 5 million people. It's more than 50. It's around 60% of the world population. Even more than 60%. What's the world population?
About
17 billion? 7 billion? So it's more than 5 billion people. I think it was 4.6 billion people believe in the fact the Torah was given to Jewish people. To Jewish people. Right? Everybody, nobody's going to deny it. The Christians might come and say, right? They're going to say that. But they're not going to deny that it was given to Jewish people. Muslims also, they're not going to deny that Torah was given to Jewish people. 4.7 billion people in this world, and there's only 14 million Jews, I believe. Okay? So the 4.7 billion people believe, and you know, they have some knowledge, they believe in the fact that the Torah was given to Moshe on Mount Sinai. Right? That's a fact. That's a fact. If it's something a person does not believe, if it's something a person has doubts about it, that's something a person has to contemplate on. A person is obligated, right, to, before saying yes or no to the fact, it's like my little kid, you know? I have an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. So my little kid, they're like, you know, I would make something. I love to cook also. So like, you know, I like meat. As a good Gorsky man, I love meat. You know, so I would make a steak and I would give it to my daughter. And she said, "No, Papa, I don't like it." I mean, how can you say you don't like it? You have to try it first. Right? Try it a little bit first, and then tell me you don't like it. But try it first, right? Try it first before saying you don't like it. So the same thing. A person who's smart, Right? Dumb people will just say, I don't like it. They're not going to try. A person who's smart is going to pick up a book, is going to research something, he's not going to trust second-hand information, right? When someone else tells you about something. No, he's going to look if it's something important to him, and our lives are important to us, and it's important to us how we're going to live our lives. Right? We're going to pick up the book, we're going to look into it, and we're going to see what's up, and then we're going to make a decision for us. We're going to make a decision for ourselves. Am I going to believe? Am I not going to believe? And I'll respect to somebody. If somebody who tells me, right, this guy Sam Harris, you know Sam Harris? If you know Jordan Peterson, you know Sam Harris, right? I respect Sam Harris. I respect Sam Harris. I respect the way he thinks, and I agree with him in a lot of what he says. The guy's an atheist. The guy's an atheist. And I think he doesn't know a lot of the Bible. He totally misinterprets it. He totally doesn't know what he's talking about regarding the Bible. But the thing is, he picked up the book, he researched it to the most of his abilities, and then he comes out and he talks. He comes and he debates. I respect that. Okay? But if you don't know something, and you have a certain pattern of thinking, if a person says, I don't believe in Torah, I don't believe Torah was given to Jewish people on Mount Sinai, without researching it, without looking into it, without reading about it, I'm not going to respect that person. I'm not going to respect that kind of thinking. Right? So let's take it for a fact right now that the Torah was given to Moshe Rabbeinu, to Jewish people on Mount Sinai, right? The Torah that was given in two forms. It was given in the written form, right? There was 5 books of Moses. How many knows how many books in the prophets and the writings?
22.
24. Very good. 24 books. And the prophets and the writings, right? Which is also, by the way, part of the both Christian Bible and the Muslim Quran also believe in it. They don't bring it as a part of the Quran, but they don't deny it as a truth. And was given also the oral Torah, right? So the question we're going to ask ourselves, it's very good asking questions, but my whole life I was asking questions, and a lot of times the yeshiva I went to, it's okay, I can tell you, when I was like 15 years old, this little Kavkazi guy from Moscow, comes into yeshiva, I caused a lot of problems to the yeshivas. They didn't like me because I asked a lot of questions, and it was a very kind of place that you don't ask questions. But I wasn't the kid that was asking questions for no answers. I wanted to know answers, right? So, like, I guess pressure, what are you running away from me, No, you ask questions. It's an obligation. Passover, etc., right? Passover, etc. We ask questions. That's what Jewish people do. They ask questions. I heard once from Dennis Prager. You guys heard of Dennis Prager? Right? So Dennis Prager, he has a radio show. And one time on the radio show, this woman called him, a Muslim woman called him, and she asked him, I don't understand you Jews. Like, we Muslim people, we are devoted to our God. Whatever God tells us, we devoted to it, and it's something we should give Him credit for, right? They have a certain level of devotion to their God. Okay, whether they think it's crazy things, not crazy things, it's another story. But they have a certain level of devotion to their God. He said, you Jewish people, you always argue with God, you always have problems with God, I don't understand you. Dennis Prager told her, you find Ishmael, in your name Ishmael, right? Shema, listen, El. You guys, it's in your name to listen to God. It's in your name to be devoted to God. In our name, Israel, Yashar El, is to fight God. Right? When Jewish people got the name Israel, when the Jacob fought the angel of his brother Esau. You can look it up, it's in Genesis.
He used to struggle with God.
What? He struggled with God. Exactly. And that's a Jewish concept. We struggle with God. And it's normal to struggle with God. That's why we're here in this world, to struggle with God. That's the truth. At the end of the day, that's the truth. The truth is, we're here to struggle with God and to look for Him in our lives. To look for Him, right? Just like Yosef, when he went to look for his brothers. You think he just went to look for his brothers? He was looking for his family. He was looking for that Bratsia, He was looking for God. In reality, he was looking for God. Yeah? So the same thing, guys. it's our obligation to look for God. The Tennis Prager told her, you guys listen to God. We struggle with God. We Israel. You guys are small. We Israel. We struggle with God. Right? So, and that's why, because we struggle with God, that's why God gave us the oral Torah. That's the significance of oral Torah. Why? Let me ask you a question, guys. Do you think it's a relationship, any close relationship, let's say somebody and his loved one, right? Or a person and a parent, that the people don't struggle? Is there a possibility of such a relationship? There's no, right? But somebody, anybody that plays tennis here? Play tennis. Can you have a tennis partner that you don't struggle with? No? It's boring. Or someone like a lab partner. You have a lab partner. I, for example, I can have a lab partner that I don't struggle with, you know? I do my job, she does her job. We don't leave me alone. You know, I don't want to know about your life, you don't want to know about my life. You know, I do my thing, you do your thing. Right? So, what we learn from here? If a relationship is close, right? A person is loved one, a person is parent. When this relationship is close, there's always a struggle. It's normal to have a struggle, right? It's normal to have a priyatiranya. When this relationship is not close, there's no struggle, right? If somebody who's not close to each other, they're not going to have any struggles. So that's where oral Torah comes in. Oral Torah is like a wedding ring between Jewish people and God. It's something that holds the connection between Jewish people and God. And that's why it couldn't be written down, because it's intimate. It's something a man tells his wife, whispers in her ear. Okay? It's something that's going on inside the house. It's not something that goes out. It's not something that's meant to be told outside of the house. Okay? And that's why there's actually a nisur. It's one of the things you're not allowed to write written Torah, oral Torah. You weren't allowed to write oral Torah. And they try to preserve it as much as possible, to let it be oral and not write it down. It's written, that's correct. And they wrote it because just we're going to get to it. They were afraid that it's going to be forgotten, and that's why they're committed to writing it down. But it's not meant to be written. Right? And only because they were afraid that it's going to be forgotten, they wrote it down. But it's not meant to be written, and it's actually in the sur to write it down. Right? Some people even hold that you're not allowed to write down, like the Vilna Gaon. You guys heard of Vilna Gaon? He's a big rabbi, and he held that if you guys ever learn his commentaries, like on the Torah or on the Talmud, he always writes very short. It's very hard to learn. Why? Because even if you know Hebrew well, it's very hard to learn because he always writes B'Kitzur. He always writes Sefer Shonah. He doesn't write a lot. Why? Because he held that you're not allowed to write oral Torah more than the writing without forgetting. Right? Because it's something intimate. It's between us and God. Right? It's something that's not meant to be outside. And it's a whole deeper discussion that oral Torah also evolves. You know how you want to know halacha? You want to know if this milk is kosher? You go 3 different rabbis, they're going to tell you 3 different answers. Anybody had a case like that? Yeah. Rabbi, можно там кушать? No, chas v'shalom, it's not kosher. Rabbi, можно кушать? Yeah, I know this guy is great, his meat is great. You know, it's the best hashgacha in the world. Like, they go to, why? Why? Because it's not meant to be black and white. Oral Torah is not meant to be black and white. It's something personal. It's something personal, right? Right. So the way oral Torah, let's spend a little bit of time on that. The way oral Torah is written down, right, from 500 years after giving it on Mount Sinai. There's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, the first Mishnah in Pirkei Avot. If you guys look it up, how it was transmitted from Moshe Rabbeinu, right, to the point that it was written down. The Mishnah says Moshe kibel Torah Sinai, the Moshe got it from Sinai, and then he masarta leYeshua, masarta l'Zkenim. You can look it up how the transition of the oral Torah from one person to another, right? And in reality, all Jews learned it. The transition is talking about just in the legislative power. Any lawyers here? No lawyers? Who's a lawyer?
Lawyers in the making.
Active law or you know law school?
Yeah.
What kind of law do you practice?
We're just starting out like business transactions.
Oh, nice. So it's a legislative power. A lot of laws come from Talmud, you know, like the way they learn out laws, and it's very interesting because the Jewish court from the time of the Sanhedrin, they had a large courthouse. They had a certain, people that had the legislative power. They had the ability to change the oral law. For example, the Ruth. You guys know of Ruth? Who knows the story of Ruth? Right? There was a woman. She wasn't Jewish, right? And she was from the people of Moab. She was from people of Moab, and she wanted to become Jewish, and she became Jewish. And later on, she married a person whose name is Boaz, and King David came out from her. She's King David's grandmother, and as the tradition goes, her Mashiach is going to come from her, right? And she was a Gentile. Not only that, she was from Moab. And there is a separate Isur, there's a separate law in the Torah that you're not allowed to marry those people from Moab. You're not allowed to marry people from Moab. There's an Isur. So till she came out and said, I want to become Jewish, the Sanhedrin, the courthouse, they brought up the legislative power and they changed the kind of twisted the law that you're not allowed to only marry you're not allowed to marry the man people from Moab, and the men people from Moab are not allowed to become Jews, but the women people from Moab are allowed to become Jewish. Right? Did I lose you guys? Whatever. But the point is, there's a legislative power that was transmitted from Moshe Rabbeinu till Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi wrote down the Talmud. He wrote down the Talmud. He wrote down the Mishnah. He wrote down the Mishnah. Then we have the commentary on the Mishnah, which is the Gemara, right? Together, Mishnah and the Gemara compiles the Talmud, which is oral law as we have it, right? Now, another thing is, guys, the proof that we have oral Torah is one of the interesting proofs. You know, in the Chumash it says you're supposed to wear tefillin, right? But it doesn't say what tefillin is supposed to be like, how it's supposed to be made, what its shape it should be, what color it should be. All those things were transmitted as oral Torah, right? As an intimate, something intimate between God and the Jewish nation, right? And then later on, as it compiled into the Gemara, into the Talmud, Gemara and the Mishnah, there were certain Jewish legislators that made the codex of law. Right? The first one was the Rambam, Maimonides, and he went through entire Talmud and he organized the laws that's in the Talmud, because Talmud is very unorganized. It jumps from one topic to another topic. It discusses a lot of the reasoning, right? 75-80% is the reasoning behind the laws, right? Why it's like this, why it's like that. It's not the actual law. So what he did is he went through the entire Talmud and he put a codex of law of what the halakha is. And he compiled it in the ordinary fashion, right? He made a separate section for the Chagim, for the holidays. He made a separate section which involves the halachot of women and the Gitin and Kedushin, marriage and divorce. He made a separate section involving Merkach and Memkar, buying and selling. Right? He compiled all the halachot, even to the halachot of the Mashiach, halachot of the building of the Sanhedrin, when the Mashiach is going to come, how it's going to be living, how Jewish people will live, right? And from here on, after that there came out Shulchan Aruch, and that's how halakha is nowadays, right? It's based on those rabbis that came up with the codex of law based on the discussions in the Talmud, right? It's clear? So I just want to give you guys a little bit of introduction about the written Torah, the oral Torah, the significance of the oral Torah as being a special bond between God and the Jewish people, right? And a little bit to know that it's not just rabbis. Next time you go to a rabbi and you ask rabbi, at the Moshe Kushet and Isaac Kushet, you know, on Shabbat, am I allowed to do this or not allowed to do this? So you know, the rabbi didn't just make up the halachot, you know. They came down in a certain tradition. There's a tradition how the halakha down, right? The tradition, and the Gorsky people have their own tradition, right? We have our own tradition, which is still involved, and which is a part of the Sephardic tradition. Our tradition is a part of the Sephardic tradition, right? So another thing is I'm going to touch up on today is God and the nature of Jewish God, right? We're going to go into it a little bit, and then we're going to have some room for the questions and answers. If you guys have any questions, thank you. Listen. Thank you. Very nice. Thank you. So, a Jewish God, right? That's a very special thing, the Jewish God. The Jewish God is awesome. The Jewish God loves. And Jewish God is love. Jewish God is love. It's nothing else but love. We say, Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. What is Echad? One. God, right, is our God. Shema Israel, listen, Jews. Hashem is our God. Hashem is one. The word Echad, the Gematria, you guys know what Gematria is? We have, every letter has a numerical number, right? And sometimes if two letters have the same numerical number, we can connect the meaning. The word Echad is Aleph, Chet, Dalet. Aleph is 1, Chet is 4, and Dalet is 9. I'm sorry, Aleph is 1, Chet is 8, and Dalet is 4. Any mathematicians in the room? 13? 1, 8, 4. 13. You take the letter Ahava, right? Take the letters of the word Ahava, which is love. Aleph, Hey, Bet, Hey. Aleph is 1, Hey is 5, Bet is 2, right? And I'm sorry, then is Aleph. Ahava is Aleph and then, not Hey. Aleph is 1, Hey is 5, 6, Bet is 2, 8, right? It's not working.
1525.
1525, right? So 15, right? 1525. Aleph, Hey, Bet, Hey. I was right. So Aleph, Hey, 15 is 6, right? Bet is 2, 7 plus 5 is 13, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay, so Echad and Ahava has the same numerical value. Because why? God, Shema Israel, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem, love. Flusha God, Flusha, that Israel, Hashem is our God. Hashem is love. Hashem is a fully love. Nothing else but love. Okay. I remember the first time I heard that God is nice, I was 20 years old and I was learning in 20 or 19, maybe 19. And I was learning with my Rebbe in Yeshiva in 5 towns, Shari Yosef. And he said, God is nice. I'm like, what do you mean he's nice? He punishes. He's like, what do you mean God punishes? God doesn't punish. I'm like, what do you mean? He punishes? He doesn't give punishments? I remember how he was screaming at me. He said there's something wrong with me if I couldn't do it. and till this day, I'm filtrating because, I used to think God is this like evil king, He like looks at me and points out fingers like I did something wrong, like this guy Ravashi, he messed up again. I gotta make up a punishment for him. And then I would think in my head what punishment you should make up for me, You guys should see the list. And it wasn't from him, it was from me, And it wasn't because God was punishing me, it's I was punishing myself, because of shame, which is a sin. It's a sin for a person, especially for a Jewish person, to feel shame. Shame is a Christian feeling, and let the Christians feel shame. Right? We don't feel shame, right? They feel they're born in sin. That's how they believe. They're born in sin. Right? We're not born in sin. We're born with what we have. Right? And God made us who we are. Whatever messed up thoughts can go through my head during the day, God made every single one of those thoughts. So there's no shame today, thank God by me, and I live without shame, and I'm very happy. I feel happy. My life is happy. It doesn't mean I don't go through hard stuff, but I'm okay. And knowing that God is love, and saying Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, and thinking that God is love, and one of the mitzvot that we have, the commandments, is able to sacrifice ourselves for God. Let me ask you a question. Again, we're gonna assume that God is not retarded, right? So, is it possible to ask someone to sacrifice your life for something if you believe, right? If you believe he's a monster, right? Would I want to sacrifice my life for a monster? I'm not going to sacrifice my life for a monster. I'm only going to sacrifice my life for someone I love, for someone I care, for someone I know that's good to me, right? You know why? Because I'm a very selfish person. And that's how all people are. People are selfish. You know, the truth is, you guys know Ayn Rand? Ayn Rand? She wrote a book, it's called Fountainhead. But people are selfish, you know, whatever, a big part of us, I'm not saying a huge part of us, but a big part of us, we're selfish and want to have a good life, right? So, God is love, and nothing else but love, right? So, I don't know, what time we have till August? How long, before Q&A, how long do I have? Because I can continue next time, we're going to be seeing each other for the next 2 minutes.
8 more minutes.
Huh?
8 more minutes.
8 more minutes, then we're going to do 10 minutes Q&A? So, I'm going to talk a little bit about, you know, God and what God is, and we're going to move on because it's and open up again with the next topic. And next time I want to discuss what is the physical, mental, and spiritual health, and how it interconnects, right? And how it's connected to the Torah and serving Hashem. Now, Derech Hashem, there's a beautiful book. By the way, guys, if you do decide to come out of here and read a lot, you know, read something about Jewish nation or about yourself, really it's reading about yourself, right? Because we're all Jews. So it's good to know yourself. You know? Knowing yourself can give you a lot of opportunities to do good stuff, right? You just you know, reading about lives like Steve Jobs and reading about people, successful people, not only successful people in business and money, reading about successful people in art, reading about successful people in music industries, right? In any industry, when you read about successful people, there's one common denominator. They look into themselves, they get more connected with who they are, and then they drive that force out, right, into their specialty. Right? So it's important to know yourself, right? And God made us Jews. It's important to find out who we are as Jews, right? So there's a beautiful author. His name is Rabbi Kaplan. Anybody heard of him? Rabbi Kaplan. He's great. I'm a big fan. It's great. And he was translated the book of one of the Kabbalists from 17th century. His name is Rabbi Moshe Chaim Lutzato, Rav. It's called Derech Hashem, the way of God. If you have any question about God, if you have any doubt, if you have any question about Jewish religion, what it is, what it's not, this is a book to pick up and read. It's a beautiful translation by Rabbi Kaplan. It's so easy to read. It floats. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And in it, he writes about the nature of God. So he talks about how Jewish God is the most perfected force in the world, right? If we look, how does the Torah describe God? What was the first 3 letters in the Torah? Bereshit, Bara Elokim. In the beginning, God created, right? So the Torah describes God as a creator, right? God is the creator. That's who He is. He's a creator. What kind of creator? He's a perfect creator. He's got the perfect power. He's got the perfect power, right? And it's like thinking of a human mind. A human mind will have different particles, right? We have one part of mind that involves cognitive function, right? Our mathematics skills. Another part of mind that addresses artistic skills, right? Another part of mind will address social behavior skills, right? And usually how it is in a person. In a person, those skills, in some person it's elevated right, in the cognitive function, but they don't know how to talk in public. Other people, you know, they know how to talk in public, but give them a math equation, they don't know the X from Y, you know. Other people are like me, they just have nothing in their heads, you know. It's just like, but there's by God, every single the midah, every single characteristic is to the fullest perfection, and it's in unity. That's what we say chad. It's in unity, and it's in unity in a very simplistic way that's impossible for human mind to understand. Because we cannot understand how the biggest strength and the biggest love can coexist as one. We cannot understand how the biggest the biggest gvura, the biggest level of strength, like justice, right? The justice and love can I guess justice and love can coexist easily. But there's certain things we don't know how can they coexist, as one, as just one simple particle, and that's what the nature of God is. Now, let's go. I'm gonna move on. Let's finish here. It's kind of in the middle of topic. I don't want to go into it just for another 3-4 minutes and then drop it. I'd rather spend more time with it next time and continue. Next time we'll meet. You guys have any question answers? You don't have to be shy. How old are you guys? What's the age range?
24.
It's like 18 to 30.
18 to 30? Most of you born in America or in
Cuba.
Cuba? Such.
Raised here.
Question.
Yeah.
What made you decide to become a rabbi or to get some time?
Oh, so what made me decide to become a rabbi is I had a lot of those my negative feelings to decide to become a rabbi. You see, I didn't trust people. I didn't trust people when they were saying, because a lot of times people were telling me things I didn't believe were true. Like it bothered me that people would hold, over like outside things like in this community maybe it's not so much, but the community that I was in, like people would hold like wearing a white shirt and a black hat is a alakha moshe b'sinah, it's like Muslim, like there's certain things that people would make into into a law, and they would give significance to certain things over others, and it didn't stim with me, it didn't make sense. So I just wanted to look it up for myself. And today I know what makes a Jew is like Yosef. Yosef, when when Yaakov, his father, came into Egypt, he didn't see his father for 18 years till his father passed away. Right? Yosef's father, his family moved. They settled in the land of Goshen, and he did not see his father for 18 years. You know why? Because he was afraid that if he goes to see his father, you heard it? He was afraid if he goes to see his father would ask him what happened to him, how he ended up in Egypt, and he would not hold himself up, and he would reveal his father that his brother sold him. So because of that, he did not see his father for 18 years. And that's a real Judaism. That's a real Judaism. To be so concerned about other people's feelings, that's a real love. It's all about love. Bob Marley was right. It's all about love. It's all about love. It's just, what do we see as love? What is real love? Am I going to let the Hollywood define what love is for me? Right? Am I going to let the movies and the culture to define love for me? Am I going to let my culture? Am I going to let the babushka in my house to define what love for me? Because I don't think love is for my grandmother. As love. She thought love is to sit in the kitchen all day and make dinners. I don't think that's love. I don't necessarily. Maybe at some point of time it was, but I don't think that's what it is now. So that kind of answers your question.
Earlier you said that like Kavkazi traditions and stuff
Yeah.
like directly. Yeah. And do we have some kind of like uniqueness though, like maybe Talmud that like not Talmud, like traditions or
You're talking about the ring, or is it he was giving class about the
I don't remember
the wedding? I was listening to his
like I
class
remember
online, I
an
think.
example.
It's like a year ago he gave the
different
class?
things.
Like why we do certain things.
In here he gave it, or like in the Gors part of the
Maybe
Gors
online.
Council?
It was online.
Yeah. So it happens to be, I believe Rabbi Ephraim knows more about the Kavkazi, like the heritage and the way they do our law. I was looking into it myself as much as I was able to find. You know, so from my understanding is that the way it was, and it's just my understanding, you know, from where I know. Maybe you know, there's a lot. Maybe Rabbi Ephraim knows where I don't know. Probably does. Is you know, Kavkazi people settled in Kavkaz. There's actually a Jerusalem Talmud that brings down the city of Derbent. The Jerusalem Talmud brings down the city of Derbent. Right? It was a Jewish community in Derbent. And then from there on, there was no really the differentiation between Sephardic and Ashkenazi, right? So there are certain customs that settled from the Talmud, I guess Israel. Like I believe when you go to Numas, you go to the shul in Kuba. They take off their shoes before they go to Numas.
Yeah.
They do, right? So I think that's from Talmud. So there's certain customs they do, you know. That's
Take their shoes off when they go to shul.
yeah.
If we're
You're not, I thought you're not allowed to do that.
You're not allowed to do that only if it's metal, or if it's asphalt. If it's kavri, you're allowed. If it's stone floor, you're not allowed to because of the basic English. But if it's carpet, you're allowed.
Kavod to pray without shoes.
So in those days, it was considered kavod. Why? Because the people would have dirty shoes. They would have a lot of dirt on their shoes. So it was more of a kavod to take away shoes. Yeah. So maybe certain customs came like that, and then they had a relationship with yeshivot in Iran, right, in Baghdad, and Persia, and that's why they had the standing Sefer Torah. But if you go to Kuba, in Kuba, what kind of you guys been to Kuba? Who've been to Kuba here? So what kind of Sefer Torah? They're lying down Sefer Torah or standing? Standing? Maybe now they're standing, but
Laying down.
laying down. Most of the Sefer Torah is lying down. Huh? Yeah, because later on they started
Not
getting the Sefer
necessarily.
Torah from Ashkenaz. And they started learning things. There's a lot of Sephardi rabbis that went to yeshivot in Europe, and then they got certain customs from there. It's a combination. It's very interesting. To learn. Any questions, guys? Too shy? Alright. If I can give out my yeah.
You said earlier that like Hashem doesn't do like evil things, like he's not mean. Well, why do like bad things happen from where?
It's $1 million question. Why do bad things happen to good people? Moshe Rabbeinu asked this question to God. And God answered, I cannot see you, I'll let you see my front, I can only let you see my back. And meaning I cannot reveal it fully to you. Why? But it's $1 million question. It's really is a $1 million question. Really there's, I guess the short answer would be because we don't know what true good is and we don't know what true bad is. But it is much more deeper than that. Maybe I'll touch it up next time we speak. Okay? It's a good question. Thank you for the question. It's a beautiful question. Any other questions? I can put my email on the board also. You guys can ask me. You're welcome to email me questions if you want. Okay? And later on, I also want to compile certain books, a list of books. You guys can go, look up for yourself. That I found helpful for me. If anybody's interested. All right?
What's your email?
Thank you. What?
What's your email?
My email is radoniyahu@gmail.com. r.adonyahu@gmail.com. I wish it would be important for me to write on. RAJONIAHU@gmail.com. Is there like a WhatsApp group you guys have? So put it on WhatsApp. Add me to the WhatsApp group also.
Sure.
I'm like,
Thank you.
thank you.
Cara.